Good evening, Active Claremont. It is not Thursday. It is not our regularly scheduled meeting day. No need to adjust your set. We have a very special presentation for you tonight. Graciously, all the candidates that are running for the Citrus Board of Trustees election have agreed to join us because you had helped me put on such a wonderful presentation with our Claremont School Board. We thought we'd reach out to the Citrus College Board of Trustees candidates, and we have them here for you tonight. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in chat. We will be taking questions as the night goes on. But please, obviously, remember to direct your questions to all of our candidates, not any one person. That way everyone has an opportunity to answer. Same rules apply as our last meeting. If you were not here for that, we basically have a 2-minute question answer. We're going to do about 11 questions right now prepared, unless you have any new questions. 2 minutes will be given to each candidate to respond to those questions. And we will also have 5 minutes for opening statements and 10 minutes for closing statements, as well as your questions should they come up. So please, again, feel free to put them in chat as we go at any time. You don't have to wait for a pause or a break or anything like that. The order for tonight is going to go with, first we're starting with Eric, then Joe, then Laura. That's been decided off screen, but there was a structure. Also, just to be clear, the questions have not been provided to the candidates ahead of time, so they are hearing the questions at the same time as you are. So I think that gets all of the formalities out of the way. We have our candidates here with us now, and I'm going to go ahead and open the floor right away to Eric, who's going to start us off with opening statements. Eric, as soon as I am done talking, feel free to unmute yourself, and you are all set. The floor is yours. Eric, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I screwed that up. That was me. I left you unmuted. I want to restart your time. That won't happen. That won't happen again. I am so sorry. I'm glad I checked. Thank you, Alexandra. So I am going to restart your time. And again,
Eric, I am so sorry.
see, proof. There we go. Check the stream. Sorry about that, Eric. Your time will restart whenever you're ready.
Okay, take two.
Sorry.
I'm still Eric. I'm still in a garage. I'm running for the Area 2 seat on the Citrus College Board. Citrus College provides wonderful access to high-quality, affordable collegiate education. I moved to Claremont 21 years ago to take a job teaching at Mount San Antonio College in Walnut after working for 7 years as a middle and a high school teacher. For the first few years, I focused on the craft of teaching. But in the early aughts, I joined the Education Design Committee at my college, and I started to understand the shared governance approach used by colleges and the roles that faculty, classified staff, students, community members, and managers all play to create an inclusive, student-centered college. I have served on many college committees that directly relate to the work of the Board of Trustees. These include accreditation, budget, curriculum, equivalencies, which influence faculty hiring, facilities, information technology, institutional effectiveness, professional development, and student preparation and success. I spent 11 years, which I think is a record, on my college's President's Advisory Council, where we discussed college events, reviewed planning documents before they went to the Board of Trustees, and wordsmithed the board policies that would later go to the Board of Trustees for final approval. I was a member of my college's academic senate for 16 years, serving as its president for 2 terms, and I served as my union president for 2 terms as well, one of only 2 faculty to ever hold both positions at my college. Currently, I serve as the president of the Community College Association, an affiliate of the California Teachers Association that provides training to faculty leaders, encourages multi-college discussion, and advocates for higher education issues at the state level. Work, I serve on the California Community College Chancellor's Office Consultation Council, and I interact with the California Board of Governors, which is the state body that approves the regulations that govern the California community college system. There are a number of issues that will face Citrus in the next few years, and I look forward to addressing at least 3 of them as the evening progresses. The first is money. There are massive funding deferrals in the public K-12 education system. The second is institutional change. We need to adapt to changing employment trends, to the need for stronger pathways, and also to adopt significant changes so as to bring diversity, equity, and inclusion further into our college's practices. The third issue is safety. How do we prepare for human-caused disasters, and how do we staff and train our public safety system? Talking about facilities and how facility master plans develop. In particular, I hope to make it clear that I understand the role of a community college trustee, including what it is they don't do. It is not good governance when a trustee promises specific actions or has pet projects. Instead, trustees ensure that shared governance processes are properly working. They serve as a liaison between the college and the community, and they evaluate the college president, the only employee at the college that directly reports to them. Trustees are given oversight powers to ensure that the college acts in the interests of those who live in its service area. I've spent nearly 2 decades being actively involved with colleges' shared governance. I've worked on dozens of board policies and multiple college plans, and I look forward to bringing my experience and energy to Citrus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. Again, I apologize. I don't even have duct tape around here to blame the duct tape production, so I apologize so much. Joe, you are next up. Feel free to unmute yourself, and your 5 minutes starts as soon as I am done and you start talking.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Active Claremont, for hosting this event. It's been good to get to know Eric better and also Laura along the process. We're all passionate about Citrus College, and so thank you again for hosting this Active Claremont. My name is Joe Salas, and I'm running for the Citrus College Board of Trustees, area number 2, representing Claremont and Pomona. For 7 years, I've served as a Traffic and Transportation Commissioner for the city of Claremont, and I'm currently Emergency Medical Services Commissioner for the County of LA. I'm also an EMT ocean lifeguard with the city of Los Angeles. I've been doing that for about 20 plus years. And I'm also an active member of the Claremont Sunrise Rotary Club, where we are involved in local philanthropic activities in the city of Claremont and the surrounding area. I'm also been a member of the Claremont Homeless Advocacy Program. And all these memberships are reflected in some of my policy goals that I want to get accomplished at Citrus College, but we have almost 2 hours, so we can talk about that a little later. To me, I've lived in Claremont since I was 6 years old. Claremont is my home. Community college was not an option for me when I was growing up. It was a launch pad for my career as a teacher and so many other places in my life. Not going on to higher education was not an option in my family. I followed in my parents' footsteps. I attended Citrus College 3 times. While I received the support of many great professors, I was inspired to learn by some fantastic professors I had there back in the early 90s. And why I'm running for Citrus College is to really help students that need that little extra helping hand. It doesn't matter if you're going through a certificate, an associate's degree, or transferring to a 4-year school, or if you're just a lifelong learner and you're going back to take a class that you might be curious about. Community college is about building student relationships with students. It's not an institution really heavily where they rely upon institutional dollars, and there are professors doing research, but really at the community college, it's about building relationships with students. And that's one of the great powers and things that help inspire students and empower students at Citrus College. It's essential to have a trustee who's exacting public policy, who has experience and expertise in the field of education. In addition, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley said, "The people closest to the pain should be closest to the power." If I'm elected to the Citrus College Board of Trustees, I would be the second person of color elected in its 105-year history. I would be the first Latino ever elected to the Citrus College Board of Trustees. It is essential to have someone who can empower the Latino population that is almost 70% of the Citrus College population. In my day job, I'm an ethics studies and special education teacher at San Bernardino High School. Special education teachers are resource specialists. We deal with everything that could be facing a student in their lives. We look to see what their medical issues might be. We look to see and then we evaluate in case they might need any mental health services. We look at everything that can get between them and graduation. This is the approach that I would take as a Citrus College trustee. I would take a holistic manner and look at every possible impediment, either personal or societal, that could get in the way between a learner, that's what non-educators call them students, but educators call them learners, because that's what they are, between them and their learning objective, and come up with a policy or a program that will help, or student service that will help address that impediment that is blocking them from going on to a 4-year, receiving a certificate, or graduating with an AS or an AA degree from Citrus College. I have a very expansive platform, and it's probably the most expansive of the other people who are running. I believe that in the most difficult time ever, maybe in American history since the Great Depression, that we need a institution that will help support their students in all their endeavors and come up with ideas that can help their students learn. I want to build housing for students. This may sound like a crazy idea to people, but Cerritos College, right down the 605, has actually built a 28 housing unit for students who are experiencing homelessness. My research has found that if you are experiencing homelessness, there is only an 8% chance that you might receive your degree. And so I enjoyed this conversation. Thank you very much, Active Claremont, for having us tonight, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
You, Joe, and we'll let's see. Yes, okay, and Laura, you are up next. You are already unmuted, and your 5 minutes start as soon as I am done talking.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Active Claremont, for having us here this evening. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born into the Citrus District in Monrovia, a second generation San Gabriel Valley. My dad was born in Arcadia. My mom had taken a couple classes at Citrus, and when it was my time for college, She encouraged me to go there, and I went to Citrus as a business major. I enjoyed the music department and was a Citrus singer while I was there. I finished my business degree at Cal Poly Pomona, and then I went on to work for World Vision, a humanitarian organization, as a compensation analyst in their human resources department. I'm a longtime Citrus supporter through the foundation, where I met Brian Bocock, one of your members, and the Alumni Association. In 2013, I was awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award for my service to Citrus College and my local community. I've lived in Claremont for 25 years, and I've been very active in the community the whole time I was here, on various boards and nonprofits. I was drawn to the organizations that really made educational equity a center of their mission. Claremont Community Foundation was one of the first ones that I got involved with. Claremont Heritage was another one. League of Women Voters and their educational arm is just really important to me. Then I became interested in libraries because, as we know, the libraries are the building block of education. The Friends of the Claremont Library was president of that group. And then currently now I'm the LA County Library Foundation chair. As a trustee, part of the role is to advocate in our community. And I feel like my networking in the community through all my nonprofit work will really help me in that role. I think that it's really important to raise awareness of Citrus in the Claremont community. A lot of our Claremonters aren't familiar with Citrus, and we need to make sure that Claremont students see Citrus as an option for them. Citrus, a lot of Claremont students go to four-year colleges, and Citrus is a place for transfer students. Many students have a lot of student debt. That's a huge problem right now. And a student that starts at Citrus or a community college has a better chance of getting into the school that is their first choice. One of my supporters was in the military. His name is Mo, and he was helped in the Veteran Success Center at Citrus, and really credits Citrus as making a difference in his life. He went on to Pomona College from there. Another supporter, also successful at the Veterans Center, went on to Columbia. So we have some great stories of successes at Citrus. COVID has a lot of students questioning whether they want to pay the big expenses of a four-year university. Citrus not only is less expensive, but if they choose not to make that choice this year, at least they can get started with their educational goals right away. Citrus also obviously is online too, but it would be a less of a cost for them, right? So, but also, not all students go to four-year universities. A lot of students are interested in career technical programs, and we need to make sure our Claremont community is familiar with the many, many programs that Citrus has in career and technical training, and they're adding more all the time. So you may not know someone who's gone to Citrus, but Citrus affects you. You may have had your car repaired recently, or gone to the hospital or a doctor's office, or had an interaction with a first responder. These professional people could have likely been trained at Citrus College. So Citrus will affect our local economy if it's strong. And I think that the career technical programs and a strong Citrus is key to our economic recovery during this high unemployment time. So there's a few items that are really important to me. Student success, Joe's touched on it too, and Eric. If we call students successful if they've graduated or transferred, or have a career technical certification, student success is really key at Citrus, and they've won national awards for student success. So we need to make sure that we keep that up. Fiscal responsibility is really key to what we're facing with the budget challenges ahead of us, and the opportunity gap. We need to address that, and we have a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force that will be looking at that. I'm running because I'm passionate about Citrus, and I have strong ties to the community. My board work has prepared me for this role. I'm not running for any other position. I have over 300 individual community supporters, and I want to make a difference at Citrus. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, candidates. We are going to move to the next question. And Laura, if you could mute yourself. Sorry, we're getting a little feedback. Not a problem. I can't, who am I to? I had Eric muted for the first few minutes here. Who am I to? Come on. Anyway, so Joe, you are going to take the first question. We're going to move into the prepared questions here. Some people feel candidates are running for local offices only as a way to achieve larger future political goals. Why are you running for the Citrus College Board of Trustees specifically? And Joe, you will have 2 minutes to respond.
I'll respond to this question, and I'll repeat the same thing that when asked this question before in the last hosted by the League of Women Voters. I am running for this position because of the activists in the street who are helping to representing the Black Lives Matter movement. I work in San Bernardino. I work at San Bernardino High School. They are probably one of the most underserved communities, and maybe in Southern California, maybe in California. I am running to help students of color and other students and other groups at Citrus College to achieve in the same manner that their white and Asian counterparts do. You can't have an institution where you have students going through the same institution and there's different learning outcomes. This idea that any of us would run for this position for another higher office is funny to me, because why would any of us undertake this objective, spend all forget the money but the time away from our careers, away from our families, if we weren't passionate about helping students at Citrus College? That's why I'm running for this position, to create programs that help students. I have a very deep platform about helping students with disabilities, about creating this race is about creating a dual enrollment program with Citrus College in Claremont High School in San Antonio that will half the debt of parents and students. This is about getting students to have less student debt, to be able to buy houses. Okay, we are missing so many grand opportunities between Citrus College and Claremont High School, so students can actually get on with their lives. So they're not living with their parents. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this is about transforming higher education. That's why I'm running for the Citrus College Board of Trustees. This opportunity hasn't availed itself for 20 years, because who would run against Sue? She's doing a great job being there. So that's why I'm running.
That's time. Thank you, Joe. And Laura, you are next to respond. Your 2 minutes start as soon as you start.
Thank you. I've already said in my opening, I will not run for another office. The reason I'm running for Citrus is because I've been a Citrus advocate for my whole life. Before I even went there, I was told how great Citrus was by my family. And I've been an advocate my whole adult life, raising funds for students through the foundation, stayed involved with the Alumni Association because it's a wonderful place. And I've also stayed involved with my Claremont community. And so I felt that the combination of the two made it really perfect position for me, and I can't imagine running for any other office. I tell the people running for school board and for city council that as well. I don't know how you do what you do, but Citrus is right for me. So I've already shared some of my goals for Citrus. I also have an extensive platform on my website, and I am very passionate about this position in Citrus. Thank you.
You. And Eric, you are next up. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and your 2 minutes starts when you are ready.
Okay, well, thank you. You know, I am a mathematics professor. I am an advocate for colleges. My progression went ahead and, you know, Citrus is my community's college. I attend events there. You know, my
Eric, I think we're having some connectivity issues here. The audio and video is kind of dropping out.
Not unusual.
Eric, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm not certain if you'll be able to hear me.
I can hear you now. Sorry about that.
Okay. So I'll pick up last sentence. You know, Citrus is my community's college. I attended events there. I'm familiar with the campus, but it didn't really come to the forefront until recently for two reasons. The first one, been mentioned before, Sue Keith. She's very well known in Claremont. She's done a very good job. I was aware of her work, but there's no reason to go ahead and get C's because there was Sue. And the other one is my kids grew up. My two children are both college aged. Well, I have three children, but two of them are college aged. And Amber, my daughter, decided to go there. So now I have actual skin in the game. And it occurred to me, I have the skill set to be a good trustee. I know how to go with other. I reach out to the league, the college league, and to legislate, and I can actually take all these skills I've worked on for nearly 20 years much to run for office. It's a lot of work, and I have no interest in running for anything besides the Citrus College Board.
Thank you, Eric. There were, just so you're aware, there were some connectivity issues. I'm not sure if there's anything you can do on your end, if you're on the Wi-Fi or if you're able to plug in.
There isn't. I live near the colleges, and once the students
Yeah, let's see. So let me see if I can't do anything on my end. There might be a way, if you're potentially in the settings of the meeting that we're having on the right, you might be able to go in and change from high definition to low definition for video, and that might improve the audio. I want to make sure that we're able to give you as much equal time, obviously, as possible. And I'm not really sure. Again, sounds like we're in a sticky situation with bandwidth, as we talked about.
The only thing I think I can do, if you think it's wise, is I can probably turn off video entirely and just try to send an audio stream.
But we're all such good-looking people. Who would want to see us?
Well, there is that, but I mean, they could look at the two of you and just listen to me.
That's something we can definitely try. Maybe it'll improve as we go on. I'm very sorry about that. But definitely it's something that we can look into, at least as long as the audio is preserved. I think that would be obviously important. So the next question, we're moving on to the next question. Thank you, candidates. Laura, you will be starting first, and the question is, what is broken that you would like to change? If elected, what are your plans? And you are muted.
Oh, there it is.
Perfect.
Okay.
Got it.
There we go. There's a lot that's successful about Citrus, but I think that they do a very good job on a regular basis of program evaluation. And in the 6 months that I've been attending regularly, we've read several of those, and they regularly bring up things that the different departments think that they could improve. And it's all done on needs analysis, and and there's quite a system for it. And I was very impressed to learn how that works. I really keep talking about student success, and we need to make sure that students get the classes they need. About, I'd say 10 years ago, if you talk to someone advocating for Citrus, they'd say, yeah, but you can't get the classes you need, and you can't get out of there. And that's not the case anymore. Students are getting the classes that they need, and we need to make sure that we do everything we can to keep that way. Student support services are really, really strong at Citrus, and I was very impressed when I read the website on everything they offer. but I'm not sure that all students are getting reached with these services. We know that there's an opportunity gap, and we need to be doing not just a needs assessment, but figure out what are the delivery services. Are we being respectful to these groups? This is the area that I'm most concerned about, because I think it really directly affects the opportunity gap. And so we would look at
30 seconds.
Really mostly how the services are being delivered, how students are told about them. I'm seeing a lot on social media, which is a good trend, and reports are showing that increased services. But again, we've got the fiscal responsibility role, so we need to make sure that we can afford everything we're
10
doing
seconds.
so it can continue. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Laura. And Joe, you're next.
Again, there's doing well, but there's many things we could be doing better, and many of them.
Laura, if you could mute yourself, sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
Many
Joe.
of them align close to serving students. It's funny. Citrus College has a DIA, a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and they're going to explore what is maybe happening or not happening at Citrus College. But Citrus College would just do well to look at their surrounding institutions and seeing what they're doing to serve their communities of color. Citrus College currently has, Laura and I both went to Cal Poly Pomona. And when I was there, the student populations that were best served were served through the cultural centers. And that's something that I want to start at Citrus College. These could be built in the new student union that's going to be funded, hopefully, if Measure Y passes. You need spaces to help create places where underserved communities can feel empowered, where they can talk about mentorship with upperclassmen. Because usually when we talk about Citrus, they don't do their measurement by a traditional 4-year model. They do it by a 6-year model. That is usually how long it takes most community college students to transfer. We're talking about the untraditional student. Many of these students are working. So the persistent rates and the retention rates are so important. It's not like, and even, it's not like Pomona College, where 95% of the students will graduate in 4 years.
Seconds.
This is a community college. And so you need to have a place where students feel at home. And they've been advocating for the building of these cultural centers. They've been advocating for ethnic studies. And so why Citrus College doesn't need to do a DIA report. They just need to listen to their students. And colleges like the ones in LA Community College, they have an Emoja program. They have a Puente program for their Latino students. And these are specific student services that practice on writing.
That's time.
You may need them and other services. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And see, I lost track already.
It's going to Eric.
Is it going to? It
Yeah, I
is
still
going
need to respond.
That's correct.
What needs to be fixed?
Got it. Eric, you're up.
Okay, and I'm going to try to keep the video on, but if it breaks up again and notice, just flag me and I'll try it without a video stream, because it's more important that you hear my words than you look at me. A long time ago. Citrus College is a well-run, mid-sized college. There's a lot going right, but you can't stay still. Our society doesn't stay still. Our job needs don't stay still. Places where I see work that needs to be addressed are places where they're already starting to make changes. I'm very much looking forward to the new Students' Union and Dining Hall that's in the facilities master plan, because one of the things we know is do feel better when they have a cohort of people that they relate with. So you need to have specialized programs that address the communication needs of people from, say, the LGBT community or from each of the various ethnic groups. But more than that, we also have a population that doesn't have as much in the way of resources at home. Again, I'm in a garage. Thankfully, I only have 2 kids here. If I had 3 or 4 kids, we would be very much in trouble. And during the regular non-COVID times, just the place to have somewhere to plug in, to be able to get your typing done, to be able to get your work done. So the Learning Resource Center, the modern version of the library, and the Student Union Dining Hall are very important things to look at. We have to address the diversity, equity, and inclusion issues that are coming our way and the recommendations coming from the Chancellor's office. And we have to go ahead and adapt our jobs, our workforce training to meet the jobs that will be there, not necessarily the jobs that were there. So there's pieces that need to be done with curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and we're back at the top of the order for the next question. Eric, you go first. Are you in favor of a new library on campus?
I am very much in favor of a new library, but keep in mind, new libraries don't necessarily look that much like old libraries. There's been a huge rise in online materials, not just periodicals and reference materials, but actually keeping a number of the textbooks available online. Libraries check out Kindles nowadays, which is getting a little old school. So the amount of space that's devoted to paper items we call books is probably going to diminish in a modern library. And the amount of space where students can get together, attach one of their devices onto a shared screen and work together is going to increase. There are some beautiful examples of what modern libraries look like. In addition, having a good, quiet place to work is a godsend. I don't mean to keep pointing it out, but I'm in a garage. And I am grateful to have a garage. I have a place where my laptop can sit, where I'm comfortable, where I have my snacks and a little fridge for my soda. I have a good work environment. Our students need a good work environment. And what I envision, what I've seen other schools do, is the student union is a little bit on the louder side.
Seconds.
It's a little bit more on this, to handle both social as well as educational aspects. And the library is a little more on the quiet side. You will still have students working together there, but they'll be doing it in a more subdued manner and probably not with access to the coffee shop.
10 seconds.
So yes, our students need places to sit and work on campus. And the Student Union and the Learning Resource Center are 2 places where we can accomplish that.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Joe, you are up next.
So this interesting in a new library. If for anyone who's for anyone in your audience who's been on the Citrus campus, you can see it from the periphery. You can't actually go on campus right now, unfortunately, unless you're one of the groups that are allowed back on, like the nursing students and the dental assistants students. And hopefully we can get the theater students back on, like they were advocating for yesterday at the board. But I'm a bibliophile. I probably have over 5,000 books in my home. I love to read. I love a quiet place where I can interact with literature and just go on that journey that a good book that can take you no other place. But the purpose of a library has really expanded. It really is essential to have a space where students can meet on the quieter point. When I was working on projects at Cal Poly Pomona, I always went to the student union. But when I wanted to study for a final, I'd always go to their library. But right now, Citrus College won't even let their students back on campus. I have something in my platform that advocates the opening for the opening of the parking lot so students can access the Wi-Fi. They can do it and socially distance themselves, safe in their own cars. That way, they are not coming in contact with anyone who might be positive for COVID. The college needs to look at how can they allow their students back on campus safely, and having the library, an expanded library, is hopefully it's going to be built. But in reality, I'm just for reimagining the purpose and the use of the library. So many more things are on electronic forms, and do we need to have a very expansive HANA library like you do in Claremont? You can get everything on loan from the system that will allow students to borrow books from any other library in the state of California. Thank you. But I am for the reimagining, repurposing of the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And Laura, you're up.
Thank you. As I mentioned in my intro, I'm very involved with library advocacy, and in my role on the LA County Library Foundation, I've been in a position to tour many of our libraries in the LA County area. And I am amazed at what our libraries now look like. The technology, but the space is entirely different. To be able to run all the cords in the technology, it's just an entirely different thing. I was very involved with the renovation of the children's area at our Claremont Library, and worked closely with the designers and the renovators there, and understood what our limitations there were, because we couldn't build a new building. We were limited, and we couldn't run the technology that really was advocated for. And so at Citrus, we really do need a new library to be able to accomplish all of these new technological advances. It's not just about running wires so students can sit on computers. It's the technology so they can sit together in a group setting and maybe show it up on a screen or whatever it takes, and have divided spaces too. They used to sit at, you've seen the Harry Potter libraries with the big long tables in an open space. That doesn't work anymore. That's not a quiet space. And so our technology needs are entirely different. And as far as the comment about being able to meet in the parking lot, that's not feasible if LA County Department of Public Health won't let you do that. And so we really, our students have been given Chromebooks and hotspots to take home for now, but we really are looking forward to the day when we can get back into a beautiful new library for technology. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Joe, you are up for our next question here. Specifically, what are you bringing to the Board of Trustees that your opponents cannot?
Specifically, what am I bringing? Okay, first of all, I think I'm bringing a perspective that my other opponents are not bringing. I work in an environment, an education environment, where I'm working alongside students from different backgrounds. I'm working with students who have special needs. As a special education teacher, we have to really evaluate, as I said in my opening statement, what is everything that is going on with the student. I think Citrus needs to be more responsive to the needs of their students. I mean, if Citrus College is listening to their students, they would not have closed the food bank. They wouldn't be, turning their backs on their, an institution. You can count on, you can see what an institution is like when their students are experiencing the worst possible circumstances they could be going back to school. Right now, there's been a 9.5 drop in student enrollment. That's equivalent to about 1,900 students at Citrus College. I'm concerned that will be a lost generation of students. The optimism of that, they'll go back eventually, is not supported by the research. Nationally, 100,000 students did not even fill out, graduating seniors did not even fill out the FAFSA form. They weren't even considering college. So Citrus needs to do a reimagining about how they are attracting students, how they're recruiting students, how much are they in the community, going to different schools and going and talking to freshmen, talking to parent groups. That Citrus College is an affordable place for them to go. And I think I bring that perspective of advocacy for marginalized communities and for groups that are being underserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Laura, your answer.
Thank you. I bring several things to the table that my the other candidates don't. I have a business background, and so I was always really look at things from a different perspective. I look at policy, I look at budgeting, I look at fiscal responsibility, and my board experience is really how I've really honed those skills. You cannot get an idea done on your own. On a board of 5 trustees, it's consensus building, and that's how board works. And I know how boards work. I've done many, and the 300 supporters plus that I have seen me in action getting things done and accomplishing that. And also the networking of being so connected to my community. That's one of the roles of the trustee, is to advocate in your community for Citrus College, and knowing so many people in the community really helps me get in the door to discuss it. It gets me in the door to find the businesses that can give our Citrus graduates jobs, and get our Citrus students internships. Those kind of networking opportunities is what I bring to the table. Thank you.
Eric, your answer, please.
Well, if you took all the best qualities of all the candidates, I think you'd have a very impressive board member. But regrettably, we don't have that, so you have to pick amongst the various strengths and weaknesses that we provide. My strength is that I've been a community college teacher for over 20 years. I've talked with literally thousands of students about everything from their boyfriend to whether or not they were going to have to drop the class because the transmission in their car went out. So I've seen the good, I've seen the bad. Also, I've been a faculty leader, which means that I've been on the various shared governance committees. I actually have a back of house view of how the sausage gets made, so to speak. How do you actually make a board policy? How do you actually make an educational master plan? How do you take the accreditation standards from ACCJC and start to draft them into a document that will hopefully go ahead and give you a clean bill of health and another 7 years of accreditation? So I'm able to see things from the perspective of these pieces should have been done, and are they? Because ultimately, a trustee member has really 3 roles. You are the representative of the part of your community, which for us is Claremont and a couple slivers of 2 other cities. And you do have to make certain that you interact with the Chamber of Commerce and the City Council and, the K-12 institutions. You oversee the college president, but the third piece is, and perhaps the most important piece and the place where I really shine, is you are the final check. You are the final sign-off on whether or not
10 seconds.
The direction of the college is going well and the documents are done properly. I've worked on them. I understand them. I can bring that to the table day one.
Perfect. And Laura, I believe you're starting us off on this next question. Thank you, candidates. Also, we're about 4 questions in. If you do have any questions, feel free, again, to put them down in chat. We will get to them as soon as we can, but don't wait for a lull to type them. Definitely put them in there. Laura, your question, your first answer on this next question is, describe your involvement with Citrus College prior to this election. Are you on any committees? Have you attended any college events? If so, what?
I have a lot of connections to Citrus over the years. Immediately after graduating, I stayed very involved. Small things like I went to all the sporting events after I graduated because we had an interest. And then there was a fundraisers for the disabled students area, and I helped with their golf tournament every year, and that was right after I graduated. Then I became involved with the foundation. I was on the committee for the Taste of Autumn several times and met a lot of the faculty there. And then I've attended a lot of events, the open houses they've had. When the bond oversight committee was for Measure G was in progress, I attended a lot of their meetings, and I took some of the campus tours where they showed off the buildings that were being built from the Measure G money. I've gone to a lot of performances at the HA Performing Arts Center. I wish our Claremont community knew more about that. We have the Bridges Auditorium here in Claremont, but they have excellent, pre-COVID, have excellent programming at the HA Center. And so I always would go back to see the Citrus Singers shows that had my friends in it. And through the years, very nostalgic for me to see the Citrus Singers over the years, and all the plays that have gone on there. I guess that's it. That's all I can think of. But yeah, I've stayed very, very involved and met a lot of wonderful people along the way, and faculty members and staff as well, and students.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And Eric, you are next up. Oh.
We lost Laura.
I think we lost Laura. That might have been me too. Double clicking here.
Okay. So unfortunately, this is a weak spot of mine. Citrus College is 10 miles west, and you have to take out of sight, out of mind, sometimes with a grain of salt. Now, it always was a venue. I've seen some magnificent performances in the HA Theater. In fact, one that comes to mind was a funny thing that happened on the way to the Forum a couple of years ago, where, if I remember correctly, I was sitting in the audience with several Board of Trustee members. There's absolutely wonderful things that come out of Citrus College. But if you're not an alumnus and you don't have a child going there, it's really easy to overlook the things that Citrus College offers. And that's something that I think we need to address. It's in Azusa. It's 10 miles away, but it's still our community college. And through advocacy, also perhaps bringing some things onto city limits, perhaps some K-12 overlap programs, or perhaps some after-school programs. There are ways we can try to get community to see Citrus as more than something you might ship your kids off to when they go to college, because it is wonderful. I wasn't thinking that way. It wasn't until my daughter actually decided to enroll in Citrus that all of a sudden it went, from, yes, I know it's there and I occasionally go to an event, to, this is a interesting place. And the good news is, when I did look into it, Citrus College is a wonderful place.
Great. Thank you, Eric. And Joe, your next, your answer, please.
So this is a place where I haven't had that much involvement with Citrus College. I'm a member of the Alumni Association. When I used to be a lifeguard for the County of Los Angeles, I would go work out there in the pool and enjoyed their athletic facilities. But I plan on being more there on campus. If I'm going to lose this race, I've already pledged to raise money for the institution and to help students with scholarships. I've been looking more at the great opportunities that the foundation offers for community people to get involved in the community. And when I lose this race, I will stay involved with the Citrus family, because I believe in higher education. I believe in education in general, and community colleges is the best tax dollars that we give to the state of California, and then give the way it gives back to our local community and workforce. So that's all my involvement with Citrus College. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. And Joe, I think that you're next up on our very next question here. How much time are you prepared to devote to work for the Board of Trustees?
Well, you can be as busy or not busy as you want to be. The minimum requirement is to go attend a meeting at 4:15, depending on the month. In September, they had very few meetings, and this month they have 2. And meetings can last from an hour to, like they did last night, where they were doing interviews for the next trustee. They can last many hours. That's the formal part of the of being a trustee, but it's more than that. You get assigned to committees, you get assigned to statewide organizations. Our current trustee, Sue Keith, is involved with the Board of Governors, where she sits at and advocates in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. If that was a role that was given to me as a Board of Trustee member, then I would take that opportunity, because you need to advocate for Citrus College students at every level, especially in the state legislature. But also, in addition to that, it's being in the community. It's talking to the professors, part-time and full-time. It's talking to our administrators. It's having coffee. It's having one-on-ones. Because really, in board meetings, they're not there to build friendships and relationships. Like I do at my high school, I would be there talking one-on-one with students, with faculty, with administrators, anyone who's a member of the Citrus College family. And you also have to be in the community. You have to know what the new industries that are coming out. If some CEO of a company said, "Hey, Joe, I have a biotech company that's opening up in Monrovia, and I need 30 graduates in the next 2 years to come work for my company. I'm going to pay them $60,000 a year."
10 seconds.
You bet I'd find a way to work with an instructional dean and the rest of the Citrus College family to make sure there was a program to educate those students and to provide them that economic opportunity. Thank you.
And that's time. And actually, on that one, Eric, you should have gone first. I'll catch up on that. That was my fault. I thought my system was wrong. It was right. So I will make it right. I apologize. Laura, your next, your question, or your answer, please, rather.
You're asking about the time to devote to working on the board. And I'm at the point in my life where my kids are grown and I have the time to devote. My kids are out of the house, so I call myself retired now, and I have time to devote to this board work. I really understand from attending the board meetings over the last 6 months at least, and many before then, the research and the reading and the preparing and the learning required just to attend the meetings. And I actually enjoy that work, but it's time consuming. And I'm just a curious person, so I would be doing research beyond what they give us. I look forward, once COVID opens up, to touring different departments on the campus and meeting faculty, meeting students. I really look forward to spending time on the campus. And as Joe has mentioned, there's statewide organizations, there's advocacy groups, committee work. I have time for all of that, and I look forward to all that work. But also locally, the Citrus is a member of our chamber, and I would look forward to advocating for Citrus in the community at the various organizations, and just, being a part of the community and advocating. So I look forward to all of that, all the parts of the job. Thank you.
Thank you. And Eric, your answer, please.
Well, this is a job that really has no defined upper limit, but practically speaking, I think it's probably going to be somewhere in the 8 to 12 hour range per week. You have fairly defined duties. You're going to need to interact with the city council and the K-12 district, as well as the chamber. You have undefined duties. The events that you go to, while they're always enjoyable, you're going to have to be prepared at any moment for someone to walk up to you and say, "I have this issue and I want to talk to you about it." You have to go ahead and do the preparation for the board meetings, which, as Laura mentioned, does take a fair number of hours to do if you're going into any depth. And then there is quite a bit of ability to expand your reach. One of the things that I'm doing right now in my day job, so to speak, is I'm working on getting faculty organized and trained to do cyber advocacy, to actually go and make appointments with members of the legislature and talk about the needs of the community college system. I did not invent this. The Community College League of California, which is a group that pretty much all community college board of trustees, including Citrus, belong to, has been doing this for years. They will send board members to go ahead and talk to legislators or to talk to members of the governor's staff. You know, it's really, where do you need the advocacy and where do you need the outreach? So you have a day job. I'm afraid I have to make a living, and the Board of Trustees doesn't pay that good. But I am prepared to go ahead and make it a significant portion of my time outside of my day job. And again, I expect it to probably hit double digits most weeks.
Perfect. Thank you, Eric. And I'm going to, again, make up for my clerical error. And Eric, your first answer on this next question to make up again for that error on my part. Do you have the support of employees and teachers unions on campus?
Yes, I do. I am actually been endorsed by the Faculty Association at Citrus College, as well as the Adjunct Faculty Association of Citrus College. And I have to tell you, you know, it was a bit of a battle, because they knew pretty early on that I am a teacher. I don't have incredibly deep pockets. And they knew that, you know, I'm probably going to be outspent by Laura, certainly, and possibly even by Joe. But I am happy to say that I do have their endorsement.
Very good. Thank you. And Joe, your answer, please.
Yes, I'm proud to have the endorsement of the California School Employees Association, Chapter 101 at Citrus College. I am proud to carry their endorsement. They are the educational support providers that set up the learning and also carry on the learning with our full-time and part-time faculty. I believe that it's important to have the support of the working men and women of Citrus College, to be a voice for them at the college. And frankly, the reason why I believe that Eric and I got their endorsement is because, frankly, they don't feel fully heard by the administration at Citrus College. That was one of the reasons as to why they said they will endorse me, because I'm an advocate for the people who are the underdogs. And if you're in administration, you have 90% of all the power. And it's even there in the agenda. Citrus College doesn't even have their full-time and part-time faculty presidents agendized on the board. Luckily, CSEA has an agenda on the board, and the trustees have said, well, the Academic Senate is the voice for the professors. The Academic Senate is the voice for the professors on the curriculum side of things, not on the side of the working conditions of the president. And everyone always gets, you know, every time there's a 3-year contract and there's a collective bargaining agreement with the classified and certificated staff at Citrus College, imagine if you actually heard from these people on a regular basis.
30 seconds.
Imagine if you heard about their working conditions. And so it wouldn't be this acrimonious relationship. It's like having relationships with our spouses, with our girlfriends, with our children. If you don't talk to people on a regular basis, acrimony builds up, because you don't know what they're thinking, and they don't, and your other people, the other party doesn't know what you're thinking. So I think Citrus College needs to look at the way they do business at the board level and the way they provide an institutional voice for their certificated staff. Thank you, part-time and full-time.
And Laura, your answer, please.
I do not have the endorsement of the unions, and I have no problem with that. I think it's a little problematic, a difficult situation to have union reps in as a trustee when they're responsible in the negotiations for the salaries of the faculty. I'm answerable to the taxpayers of Claremont, and that's my #1 concern. And Eric is also involved at the state level with the union. So these two guys are very involved with the unions, and I am not, and I'm proud of it. I know they're proud of their position, and I will gladly work with unions. I think unions are very important to the process, and they represent the teachers who are so important at Citrus. But I also think it's important to know that that means their campaigns are financed for people outside of the city of Claremont, outside of the voters that will be voting for them, because the unions bring money to the table. The unions want people on our trustee boards, and that's what's happening in this election. Thank you.
You and Laura, actually, again, making up for my clerical error, I'm going to move. This question should go to you. So you'll answer first. Would you be monetarily compensated for serving on the Board of Trustees? Are there other benefits such as health care, pension benefits, or transportation reimbursement?
Yes, there is health care that was voted in years ago. That isn't our choice to make. And there is a stipend for each meeting. That's the compensation, a small stipend. But as Eric already pointed out, how many hours you'd be spending in a week's time preparing and doing the work, it's actually minimal. Thank you.
You and Eric, your answer, please.
Could you repeat that question, please?
Yes. Would you be monetarily compensated for serving on the Board of Trustees? Are there other benefits such as health care, pension benefits, or transportation reimbursement?
Yes, one is. The stipend is not terribly significant. To be honest, I don't know the exact amount of it, but it's usually in the range of a few $100s a meeting. So, it is something, and it's always nice to be recognized. It's common, and Citrus includes this, to offer health care to the members of the trustees. Trustees do not have to go ahead and take it. I've known some over the years who don't. And so if I'm elected, I would look at the health care. I think it's foolhardy to turn down health that you're offered if it can benefit you. But I do receive health care through my current employer, and so there's a decent chance that it wouldn't assist. In terms of other expenses, you go ahead and get your costs covered if you're going on school business, but that's true of any district employee. So for instance, if I'm sent to a conference, or if I'm supposed to go ahead and fly to Sacramento to speak before the Board of Governors, that would be reimbursed. You don't really make a profit on that, but you don't have to spend out of your own pocket either.
Thank you. And Joe, your answer, please.
So I have two good union jobs. I'm a lifeguard for the city of Los Angeles and a teacher in San Bernardino City Unified. I have not looking for this job to give me an extra $4,800 a year in stipends. According to Transparent California, Mrs. Keith in 2018 received $4,800, which is the compensation for trustees, and roughly $23,790 in benefits. I don't need medical benefits from Citrus College. I can decline those. And that would be the $48,000, the $4,800 I'd be getting as a trustee can go directly to the foundation. I have all my expenses paid for. I'm good. I am not seeking this position for any kind of extra money that could be going into my pockets personally. I would, if called upon by my fellow board members and my community, to go advocate for Citrus College in other venues in other parts of the state or in our nation's capital. I would be hopefully asking for compensation for that travel. I don't fly, so maybe I'll be driving up to Sacramento a lot. And maybe someone else on the board can take that advocacy to Washington, D.C. But I personally don't fly, and I'll be looking for the least inexpensive hotels to stay in. I have friendships all over the state of California through my social networks,
30
and
seconds.
find a place to stay. And the idea is to have money come back to the college and not have to pay for me to fly or to drive places, even if I'm doing business on behalf of Citrus College. Thanks.
Thank you. And getting us again back in order, Eric, this next question, you will lead us off. Have campus police ever needed to taser students on campus, and how do you feel about that issue?
Could you say that again, please?
Have campus police ever needed to taser students on campus, and how do you feel about campus policing as an issue?
Okay. The first part of it is I do not know. I haven't read the police reports for Citrus over an extended period of time. I did look at the last few months in preparing for this campaign, and I observed that Citrus is actually a pretty safe place. You know, when you look at what our campus safety is doing, they're responding to minor drug offenses, vehicle vandalism. You know, there's certainly of issues to the students, but in terms of actually being safe or with your health and life at risk, there's not a whole lot of danger at Citrus, at least most months. Now, with regards to tasering, tasering is considered a less than lethal or a less lethal form of attack. So it can be lethal. It's not something that you do lightly. It is, you know, something that an officer would hopefully be trained to do as an alternative to drawing a firearm. When we talk about firearms in general, you know, you have to decide whether or not your police group, whether or not your public safety group is there to protect the college from students or is there to protect students. And I'm firmly in the latter camp. Our students need to feel safe. There's a lot you can do with de-escalation. There is a lot that you can do to go ahead and promote a safe environment. You know, you can also go ahead and have a backup plan where, you know, you have multiple public safety people respond to something just as a general sense. You know, that helps reduce and hopefully come close to eliminate the case where a public safety officer thinks that the only way out of a situation is to possibly kill someone. That needs to be avoided.
Thank you. And Joe, your answer, please.
I would be personally against, as a trustee, the use of a taser on any student or visitor that is visiting the Citrus College campus. I work in San Bernardino High School. We have a group of security officers that patrol on bikes around our campus. They don't carry tasers. They have their big presence. These guys are about 250 pounds, 270 pounds. They're very their presence will stop someone from usually doing things. When they do have to break up fights, they do have some ways that they can de-escalate situations. I think, but really, we talk about policing. What we need to also, this is something that hasn't really come up so much on the debates. How safe is our students' information on campus? How safe can Citrus College be hacked tomorrow and then be held ransom and all their information gets taken away? It's happened to my school district in San Bernardino. It recently happened to Rialto Unified School District. And really, I think we need to ask, what kind of relationships does does Glendora have in Citrus together? Do they have crisis evaluation teams that will respond with a medical health clinician to a student that might be having a possible psychotic episode?
30 seconds.
I've seen our public safety officers around. They're usually very in their vehicles. How often do they walk around? How often are they talking to students? Do they know the student population? These would be all questions that I would ask as a trustee, because usually a police force or security force that knows their student population and their faculty will be willing to go report things to them if they think that they care and they can de-escalate the situation, hopefully before it happens. So I think it needs to be reimagined. An idea of a taser is against everything that I would stand for as a trustee and as a human being.
Thank you. And Laura, your question, or your answer rather.
Well, when you talk about campus security at Citrus College, you need to understand it's different from K-12, where they have a security resource officer that is armed. It's different from the four-year residential universities that is like a small police force. Citrus is not armed. They're not armed officers. They're security to assist students. So they don't have tasers, they don't have guns. And they're assisting students and faculty, and often students are hired because they have the administration of justice major, and some of them are training to be officers. They assist and they lead with things like earthquakes, fires, and active shooter drills, all of which have happened in recent years. They bring in the Glendora and Azusa PD as needed, and they actually have an MOU with the Glendora PD that defines exactly what situations they would be called in, how they would handle them, and that's reviewed on a regular basis. Citrus has a behavioral intervention team that is trained on how to de-escalate crisis situations, and they're always training more faculty and staff on this behavioral intervention team. My question as a trustee would be, how is the training happening for campus security officers, especially situations that include mental health? Are they calling in the behavioral intervention team on a regular basis when they have these crises? So I think that Citrus is doing a great job. They have a Clery report that I looked at and read over the last 3 years. As Eric mentioned, most of the incidents are alcohol and small drug offenses.
30 seconds.
They're required to report this, is a federally required report, the Clery report. And the Clery Act also requires regular training for the security officers on campus. So it looks like they have a good situation already in place, but as a trustee, I would make sure that it's running well and efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a reminder for everyone out there, we are now at the last two questions, both of which are about Measure Y. So if you have a question out there that has not been addressed and is not about Measure Y, I encourage you to put that in chat. That way we can make sure that your question gets answered here. And Joe, I believe you are up next with this question, which is briefly describe Measure Y and whether or not you support it and why or why not.
Measure Y is the bond measure that the whole community college district between Claremont and the western portion of Monrovia, the entire district will vote upon. Number one, I do support Measure Y. It's important that the campus gets updated and that we attract the best faculty, and it's all about our learners. This is a measure that would guide the next 30 years of Citrus College. And we, as a community in Claremont, by voting for this, we will be helping countless generations of people that we will never even know. It's a $298 million project, and it's really calling for refurbishing the old buildings. We're talking about accessibility for students who have accessibility issues. It's talking about rebuilding the Wi-Fi network, taking out asbestos out of old buildings, building a new Veteran Success Center that will concentrate on leadership skills, and building a new student union. This is needed for the Citrus College family. And if we want to continue the great traditions and the great success that are at Citrus College, we would do very well as a Claremont community to support education. For the people who might be listening to this, I ask you to go out, look at it. It's about a $25 cost for every, I think, $100,000 worth of your property where you may live based off its current market value. And it's an investment in our students, and even for the people who may not have people in the students in the community. This, as Laura had said, this is an investment in training our future EMTs, our future nurses, our future dental assistants, our future people who are fixing our cars down at Claremont Toyota. This is about you. This is about having a quality of life that will help countless generations of students and continue for Citrus College to be one of the top community colleges in the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you. And Laura, your answer, please. And Laura, you are muted.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Well, this is going to be boring for you because all three of us do support the bond. they put it on the ballot because in June they did a survey that indicated that it would be successful. And so that's why the trustees voted to put it on our ballot. It is a $298 million bond. I was involved in, as I mentioned earlier, in passing the Measure G bond. That happened in 2004. And as we know, these bonds are how we fund our schools in the state of California. And so it's really important that we consider whether we want a quality community college in our district. Over the years, I've seen the positive impact of what Measure G did. And as I mentioned, I was very involved with the Bond Oversight Committee and looking at the progress of it. They've done a great job of refinancing that bond over the year to be really fiscally responsible, and I was really happy to see that. One of the main things that will be built from this Measure Y bond would be a new building to house a lot of our career and technical programs, which we are hoping at Citrus, they're hoping to grow these programs. And that's the way we can get cutting edge labs and technology, and that makes those possible. A lot of it is also safety and older buildings, retrofitting, making sure, as I said, asbestos and those type of things. So it's really important that we have
30 seconds.
This money to make our community college as strong as possible, because a healthy community college is a healthy local economy. Thank you.
Thank you. And Eric, your answer, please.
Well, one of the disadvantages of going third when we all are of the same opinion is that there's not really a whole lot more to say. The bond measure would bring nearly $300 million to the college. One thing to correct, Joe made a small error. It's $25 per 100,000 of assessed value, not the current market value. Most of us, unless you just moved into your house, have an assessed value that's lower than current market value. And it's how California funds schools. So, from time to time, we have a bond measure to go ahead and support the Claremont Unified School District. This is no different, except that it serves a larger community and there's a larger number of voters. There's very little state money available to build stuff. If you look at the most recent state facilities bond, we would be lucky to get one building out of it. And more likely than not, we wouldn't get any. There's not a whole lot of money there. So we rely on the community to go ahead and voluntarily pass bond measures to build the things that we need. When I look at the Citrus College Educational and Facilities Master Plan, which, by the way, is a very nice document, I think it was very well done, we're talking about a STEM building. We're talking about, new labs for our students and up-to-date connections. We're talking about a new CTE building. So this is, that career and technical education that we all believe in. We're talking about the Learning Resources Center, the Student Union Dining Hall, and a Veterans Center. These are the buildings that we need to go ahead and make Citrus ready for the next 15, 20 years. And I will comment, 16 years between bond measures is a long time. I've actually been on 4 bond measures at my college in 20 years.
Thank you. And Laura, you will take this question. We also have another question that came up in chat. Again, thank you for that. Also, again, if you do have any questions, feel free to put them down in chat. We will get to them. Merging or talking about what was talked about, kind of expanding on it. Another Measure Y question. Recently, Measure G was refinanced, taking advantage of lower interest rates. Do we really need Measure Y? I thought the previous bond took care of many of these issues.
Who's going first?
Laura is going first.
Yes, we do, because the list, when you apply for a bond, there's a list of projects that are recommended or that they want to put in there, and that's why we all know how this money is going to be spent. Those are all things that were not on the list for Measure G. And as Eric said, this plan is really interesting to read. There is a long-term plan of how they hope to expand the the campus and how they helped. We'll keep it up to date and keep the technology up to date. And to continue with this plan, they would need this bond to continue to update. Yes, they did refinance, and that's, I think, the fiscally responsible way to handle these bond monies. Our Claremont Unified did the same. All of our bonds are handled that way. That's how bond financing works. That when there's favorable interest rates, they and can save money, and in this case, it's millions of dollars is saved. They do the refinancing. So yes, I believe it is necessary.
And Eric, your answer, please.
Well, when they refinanced the Measure G bonds, they didn't go ahead and get more money for the Citrus College. What they did is they reduced the expenses to the taxpayer. We were the beneficiaries of that. Measure G went ahead and built a number of good buildings. It went ahead and probably took out some asbestos, replaced a few water mains, and re-roofed something or other. Those things don't last forever. Even the best roofs, you're talking 40, 50 years. As a campus grows, you need to go ahead and improve the infrastructure by running additional electrical mains and expanding water lines. Sewage lines don't last forever. So, do we need Measure Y? We need Measure Y if we're going to improve from where we are now. If we don't get Measure Y, then we have to use general fund dollars for the maintenance, and the new facilities that will go ahead and improve the lives of our students will not get built. We'll have to go ahead and come up with some other plan to help them. And, it will not be as good an educational environment. We're not building a new CTE building just because, we got tired of last year's. We're building a new CTE building because we see a need to expand our career and technical education services and to give them facilities that meet modern standards so that we can put modern equipment in and train them for modern jobs.
And thank you. And Joe, your answer, please.
And I see the motivation for this, for this question. And anyone who looks at anything from a business point of view, you need to invest dollars to get a return. So when we talk about building a tax base, if we're building a new CTE building, we're talking about creating middle-class jobs for students who will have very little to no student debt. If I was a real estate agent, would I want more students going to Citrus College? Heck yeah, I would, because they're going to graduate with zero to no debt. So this is about investing in the economy. It's about, if you're passionate about accessibility rights for people who have disabilities, you support Measure Y. If you're passionate about the environment and want our buildings to be more environmentally sound so they use less energy, there are other things that come from funding this and passing it as a community than just the $298 million. There are residual effects to funding education. And I think all three of these candidates have said, and I'll echo Laura and Eric, if you want to tell me how a local economy is doing, then I will tell you, I will ask the question, how is the local community college fulfilling its role in helping to build the new jobs of the 21st century and the 22nd hundred? Because we're talking about going for another 30 years with this bond measure. We're going to be halfway through the middle of the century. And
30 seconds.
This is really what it takes to fund a community college. And I look forward to voting for this and for advocating for it with my friends, family, and neighbors and networks. Thank you.
Thank you. And Laura, your answer. Was it?
I think she
won. Okay, that was. Sorry, new question. So at the top of the order, then Eric, you will take our question from chat. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free. Again, we do have a little bit of time here. The question from chat here is: does the college get funding through philanthropy groups? Eric, your answer, please.
The answer is yes. but it's not huge most of the time. There is a foundation. The foundation does work to raise additional funds. Every now and then, you'll go ahead and get something that, hits 5 figures perhaps. This is a place where there actually could be a lot of good work done. One of the things that we discovered back at my home college, Mount Sac, where I work, is that we were doing a lot of outreach to the people that we had relationships with, but we weren't actually taking the time to build new ones. And one of the things that, I thought worked really well was we paid a research group to try to track down where all our alumni were, so that we could go ahead and see, are any of these really high income folks? And the answer is yes. Some of them had gone on to, run businesses. They had done extraordinarily well. They were well known for giving, 6-figure donations to other places. And so we started to talk to them, or the foundation, not me, started to talk to them about, what about the college? Could you go ahead and find a place for us in your philanthropy? And it really has paid off. I think modern philanthropy work is, yes, you do want to make friends at all levels, but if you can go ahead and get one of those 6 or even 7-figure donations, that's a game changer. And at the moment of those coming to Citrus College, which is not unusual. Most community colleges don't get them, but evidence that we can get them if we put our work behind it.
Thank you. And Joe, your answer, please.
Philanthropic organizations have helped supply funds for our students to get Chromebooks from. It's important that we have an active relationship with philanthropic groups around the Citrus College district. As a trustee, I would be out talking to businesses, because you have to talk about the value that a community college can bring. And people, once they see a value, will donate more money. That's why we give to all the organizations that we give to. That's why people invest in libraries at the county level with Laura, with relationships that we may have with people. And I have several relationships with people around the state of California that I could bring the beauty of Citrus College to, and that can translate into direct dollars for our students and help create opportunities for more philanthropic opportunities for people in the community. And I really think it's critical what Eric said is who has been through the Citrus College doors that can give that money and reaching out to them, but doing it on a consistent basis. You invite them back to campus, and they may not give until you bring them back the 5th time. So it's about when you're talking about building money and asking people to donate to an institution, it may take several, but this is a long-term process, and it will take several ways to show them the continued value of participating in their community college. I think the 4 years do a little better because students spend more time there on campus. But if there's more to do at Citrus College, like cultural centers, these things have other residual effects. If students feel more connected to campus, and that's just a place where they go and study, then they will give back more to the campus community. Thank you.
Thank you. And Laura, your answer, please.
Thank you. So I'm pretty familiar with the Citrus Foundation because I spent some time raising money with them. I was really drawn to them because the way they spend their money is for student success. It pays for scholarships for students. It pays for, as Joe said, Chromebooks recently. It's always had book grants, and they even have small one-time grants to students that are in need. And they raise their money in a lot of different ways. A couple I'm familiar with recently, I was hearing about our local Kiwanis has purchased a car for a veteran at Citrus every year for many years. That's one I'm familiar with. The Veterans Center itself actually had private funding through the foundation that they got. The foundation does a great job at finding grants from foundations. I'm pretty familiar with that through my work on the LA County Library Foundation. There are so many wonderful foundations that have money if you have the grant writer and the means to go get that money, and Citrus does, and I'm really proud of the efforts they've made. It's important to know that a trustee does traditionally sit on the Citrus Foundation, and I would be really proud to take that role because I really have a special heart for the foundation that raises money for Citrus. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to go ahead, and I'm not seeing any other questions pop up here in chat. So the next section, this is the last section, we're going to have closing statements by our candidates here. We're going to allow up to 10 minutes. So don't feel any pressure to fill the 10 minutes if you don't need to fill the 10 minutes. But you do have 10 minutes to kind of cover anything that was not asked that you feel is important to cover, or circle back and spend a little bit more time on things that we did talk about. I will go ahead and, Joe, you're going to start us off here, and 10 minutes starts as soon as you start.
I hear my mother's voice in the back of my head that women should go first, but I will respect the venue and the rules that have been agreed to. So again, if you're tuning in late to this event, thank you again, Active Claremont, for doing this community service. I've always admired Active Claremont. I know the history of your organization and have been a member. I need to re-up my membership. It's been probably like 7 or 8 years. I attended the Christmas events that were down in San Jose. I'm forgetting the name of the retirement community right now, but I love the potlucks, and I think Brian Bocock used to wear Santa's hat, if I can remember that correctly. So some of the things I just want to go back over that I didn't cover in my responses to some of the questions regarding the policing, any security or policing force. I'd be very curious to see who are they stopping, who are they coming in contact with, what are the drug and alcohol contacts that they're having, and as a trustee, I would look to see if there's any racial bias in that. If there's racial bias in policing, then there's going to be racial bias in a security force, even if they don't have sidearms to do that. In addition to, my campaign to this point has received no money from any labor union that has endorsed me. I've been endorsed by the LA County Federation of Labor, by the local CSEA chapter, but they have put no money. I have individual union members who have given me money out of their own personal finances, but I have not received any of this outside money that was referred to earlier in this conversation. I'm working really, if anyone who's looked at my platform, I'm going to talk about, since we have 10 minutes, a few of the things that I'm running for. And I think that if you look and compare my platforms to my opponents, you'll see that I'm taking a very different tack in how we should approach student success at Citrus College. Number one, I believe that a student population that serves them should look like the population of students that go there. Currently, right now, Citrus College has 58% full-time faculty association that is white. Citrus College has a 70% Latino population. I believe that the people who serve the community should look like the community that they're serving. I'm very passionate about that. I've been endorsed by Claremont Change. Anyone who might know, I call them the homegrown chapter of Black Lives Matter in Claremont. I don't know if they call themselves that, but I would. And I also want to start a fully funded School of Ethnic Studies at Citrus College. This is something that's been advocated for by Dr. Molina Abdullah, an African studies professor at Cal State Los Angeles, who is the founding mother of the Black Lives Matter movement. I think it's important that the curriculum that we teach our students should empower them, and that's what ethnic studies is about. Currently, we do not have an ethnic studies major at Citrus College. Why should a student have to transfer to a 4-year college in order to have the requirement to take a 4-year, to take a ethics studies course. So that's something that really distinguishes me as a candidate. If you're looking for a candidate that is quintessentially going to be focused on the justice of marginalized communities, then I'm your candidate. In addition to, I want to expand a dual enrollment program with Claremont. We currently have a dual enrollment program with Claremont High School in San Antonio, but it is the least, it's a paltry program. They only have 3 classes at Claremont High School, 1 course at San Antonio. Why are we the community of trees and PhDs, and we have the weakest dual enrollment program out of the 5 feeders campuses that come into Citrus? The model would be Monrovia, where they have many students graduating with an A degree when they graduate from high school. Imagine parents, if they were to transfer when they're 18 or 19 years old to a CSU or a UC or a private school, and you would be paying half of the debt that you would need to get your student through those colleges. They could have a bigger wedding. You can give them money for a home that they would buy. We're talking about a program that would save the taxpayers of Claremont hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of their lifetime. And the students wouldn't have to take on the debt themselves personally. We're talking about a program that is started by Citrus College, and really, I mean, the program exists, but really the full weight in measure of a dual enrollment program that could be helped. We could start a trades program at San Antonio High School. Imagine graduating and being 18 years old and being a fully trained journeyman electrician or a drywall person or someone who has experience in being a plumber. And you can have a middle-class lifestyle and be 18 or 19 years old with no student debt. Also, I want to expand the number of crisis counselors. COVID is going to show us that we're going to have many post-traumatic distresses when students are coming back onto campus. Oftentimes, people don't see these until they come back to campus and their lives resume. We have many people now who used to escape the abuse they used to receive in their home. Now they're learning in their homes, or they're going to a Starbucks to try to pick up Wi-Fi. Many of our students do not have Wi-Fi, and it's usually the least households that have Wi-Fi are usually Latino students. That is confirmed by the state of California and every educational research that I have read. There is an access gap, and you need to have a trustee that is addressing these issues. One thing I'm also passionate about, I have called for that you can't have education security until you have housing security. I have called for Citrus College across the way owns a property where there currently is a church. They rent out the space to a church. And what you could do with this space is actually build student housing. And this has been called radical, but Cerritos College was the first community college in the state of California to build a 28-unit housing place for students who are experiencing homelessness. Currently, right now, Citrus did a survey, and they have about 500 of theirs, 3% of their population, around 500 students who are experiencing some type of homelessness. Imagine that. Imagine if you were trying to go through a community college and you were experiencing some form of homelessness. It could be from couch surfing. It can be from living at a weekly stay down on Foothill Boulevard near Starbucks down there. And if Citrus College was able to do this, the model would be for Citrus College to actually build a hotel that would be operated by students. You bring Cal Poly Pomona in to do an articulation agreement. Cal Poly has a hotel that is ran by students, and they have a restaurant that's ran by students. This would allow the college to generate money. This would give back local tax base to the surrounding cities that would be able to have the occupancy tax that would be built into that. And it could be 100 housing unit. There's about 3 acres of land. And so you can build, because of the new laws that have been changed in California, high density housing that could actually be a hotel, and students would be able to stay in there, and the residual rooms could be rented out to people who might be attending conferences at Citrus. It could be residual housing for students who are attending Azusa Pacific University. This is actually a money generating opportunity, but also giving back to the least serves students that the Citrus College population has. And students can get an AA and then transfer to Cal Poly Pomona in hotel restaurant management and continue on with their education at Cal Poly Pomona. Cal Poly Pomona has the 3rd ranked highest program in hotel restaurant management. Citrus College can become a future feeder program for that school. And lastly, I would like to talk about the cultural centers. Ms. Bollinger and I are alumni of Cal Poly Pomona. These are award-winning programs that have helped many students who have gone through Cal Poly Pomona. It's a place where they can do mentorship. It's a place where they can feel empowered. It's a place where they can feel loved and cared for each other. Because usually the reason why there are different learning outcomes for students who are Black and brown versus their Asian and white counterparts is many times these are students who are first-time college students. There is a family gap in having to navigate the system of higher education. That's what one of the things these cultural centers work on, navigating the higher education map. Because when you come from a community and you're there for the first time, you need to know the lay of the land. And finally, as a special education teacher, Citrus College has the opportunity to start something called the work program. And this would help students with exceptional needs transfer from Claremont High School in San Antonio to Citrus College and help them get extra services and help professors navigate the IEPs to make sure the services that they are federally required to get and help them succeed in college. Thank you very much. My website is www.joesalasforcitruscollege.com. Please look at my endorsements and please look at my platform. And I welcome to have it. My number is 909-753-9851. 909-753-9851. Please give me a call. That's my mobile phone, and I will gladly take your call or your complaint. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Laura, your time starts when you're ready.
Well, thank you for having us this evening. You know, it's been a long time since Claremont has voted for this Citrus position because Sue Keith has been in there for 20 years. It's good for voters to hear about Citrus. I've heard in my campaigning so often, why are we voting for Citrus? What does a trustee do? What's the district look like? And so this is really nice of you to have this event to help us inform voters about this race. You know, my opponents have said this is a job for educators, and I disagree because there's many examples of school board members and college trustees who are not educators, who've done a great job because of their diverse backgrounds and perspectives that have allowed them to do a thorough analysis of the issues from all sides. I bring a unique perspective and have demonstrated this ability. I've worked on nonprofit boards for 25 years. I've served in leadership roles for most of them, and I'm committed to, and I've stayed until I've termed out on these boards. My background is in the business sector, and it's prepared me to address the issues of board leadership. I've never shied away from difficult issues. I roll up my sleeves. I do a deep dive into the work. I've crafted policies. I've written procedures. I've encouraged budgeting and long-range planning and bylaw review needed to make the organization strong. All the boring stuff that board members don't really enjoy doing, but I really enjoy that stuff. I've negotiated complex agreements with the County of Los Angeles, first for the Friends of the Claremont Library, and then also now more recently for the LA County Library Foundation. I've always been drawn to organizations that work to close the opportunity gap. Libraries like Citrus are building blocks for our education. You know, I have over 300 endorsers, and it's a very diverse group of people. They're conservative, they're liberal, they have different backgrounds, they have different occupations. This isn't a popularity contest. That list represents people who have been on boards with me, who have worked with me on nonprofits, who have seen my work and my dedication. They've seen my commitment. They trust my integrity. This kind of networking will help me in my role as trustee when advocacy is so very important. The top issues that I've talked about tonight were student success. We need to make sure that students can get the classes they need to succeed. We need to make sure that students can get the support services they need. As Joe has said, if they're food or housing insecure, they can't complete their goals. We need to make sure that the the services are meeting them equally so that all students can succeed. And that leads to the opportunity gap. Why are some students not succeeding? We need to find out. We need to look at outcomes data and figure out where the gaps are in our succeeding students. And most important is fiscal responsibility, because if we don't have fiscal responsibility, we can't meet any of our goals. That is the most important thing that we do as board members to ensure student success. You know, Joe brought up dual enrollment, and that is very important. Citrus has this great program. It was in 2015, AB 288 passed, providing this program for our community colleges and our high schools. And Citrus does a great job of providing the services, but the city of Claremont has chosen not to take them on. And that's not right. They drive the train on this, and we need to show what a great success it could be. We can be advocates for this system, but really it's CUSD that makes those decisions. I wanted to make that point. Another thing on my platform that I feel strongly about, when I was a student at Citrus College, they had a great child development center. The child care center was really great, and it served students as well as faculty and staff. They still offer associate degrees and skill awards in child development, but they no longer have a physical child care center. COVID has made this industry upside down, and I really want to advocate for doing a feasibility study to see if we can provide this service once again to the young parents that want to succeed at Citrus but can't because they don't have a way to care for their kids. It can also be a great way to attract great faculty and staff to your school if daycare is provided. So I want to say that my opponent, Joe, has said he wants radical change. He's said it over and over at many of our forums that and he's nodding his head. He wants radical change. And I really stand for more deliberate change. I think that when we make a change at Citrus, you need a needs assessment. You need evidence-based decisions. Where's the need? Where's the responsibility? Fiscally, we have to have the money to be able to do these things. We can't just throw money at problems. And we need to make sure that we're precision with where we spend our budget. And we also need to make sure that everyone understands on this, that's a trustee, that they have to work with 5 other board members. You can't just bring pet projects in and assume it's going to happen. You can advocate, but you have to come to consensus with the other board members. So I want to say that I'm the right choice for this position because I have strong ties to the Citrus community, and I'm a longtime advocate. I have 25 years of dedicated community service. My board work has prepared me for this role. I'm known as a thoughtful and dedicated volunteer, and I come from a neutral position, not influenced by groups like unions or other schools. I'm loyal to the students, the faculty and staff, and the taxpayers of the Claremont area. This is a nonpartisan position, and that's important. As a trustee, I will work to ensure the continued success of Citrus College, and my passion for Citrus will be evident in everything that I do. Please go to my website. It's www.laurabollinger4citrus.com, where you can read more about my positions, my goals for Citrus. You can see the list of my community supporters and some beautiful testimonials of people that are supporting my campaign. So I'd like to thank you, Matt, and Active Claremont for hosting this event tonight, and thank you.
You and Eric, your time starts as soon as you do.
Okay, thank you. And, thanks to Active Claremont. Active Claremont does so many wonderful things. I was talking with an Active Claremont member on the phone a couple of months ago, actually, and I mentioned that my wife was a member, and it turns out that she wasn't. She had simply gone to so many events over the years. I had simply assumed that she had been. So I'm very thankful for what you do in making Claremont a wonderful place to live. I'm very happy here. Well, during my opening comments, I mentioned that I have an unusually deep skill set with regards to community college governance. Supporting and improving community colleges is truly my life's work, and I'm proud of my advocacy work before the State Board of Governors and the training events put on by the Community College Association, which I lead. Our fall conference started today and includes nearly 200 faculty from all over the state of California. They speak of the front of the house dining room and the back of house kitchen. While many people have the front of house experience of having eaten in a restaurant or having attended a college, the back of house work that includes hiring, budgeting, planning, and similar administrative tasks isn't something that many people understand. I spent years as a local faculty leader. I attended over 120 complete Board of Trustee meetings, and I frequently discussed with members of the board as well as classified and other faculty leaders over coffee or lunch the issues of the college. I know what I'm getting elected to do and what's expected of a board member. So if elected, here's what I will do. COVID-19 and the wildfires are combining to increase state costs and decrease state revenue, and that's a concern because Citrus College gets 80% of its funding directly from state apportionment. There's massive funding deferrals in the system in this year's state budget. Citrus's $80 million budget has $65 million coming from the state. That means that the payments from July through January, where we are now, will be normal and vary between about $4 and $8.5 million a month, but will be less than $40,000 a month for February through June. That's $16.7 million due to the college that's going to be deferred. And while there's still, some hope the federal government will come to our rescue, you can't run a college on hope. There's a good possibility that California's economy will not recover in the next 10 months, and that deferral payment will get pushed to a future year. We need to have shared governance discussions that are going to have a lot of frowns at the table, because we need to come up with fiscal plans that are ready for multiple contingencies. It is likely to be some rough weather ahead, and while I'm not fond of any way, shape, or form in reducing what we do, I will say that you always look to students and student success first. So students and their access to classes has to be the first issue. But you don't just go ahead and look locally. You also reach out. We were going to have actual cuts in the original state budget. It was advocacy from a variety of groups that pointed out to the legislature and eventually the governor that we needed to go ahead and at least make it the possibility of deferrals. Employment trends in our region are carefully followed by the state chancellor's office, and locally, these are mostly in the health sciences, particularly geriatric care and nursing, and logistics like tracking and shipping and supply management. But there's also hot majors, majors coming that are expected to grow significantly more than average. And these include things like mechatronic robotics, which is a subset of mechanical engineering, finance, HR, computer science, particularly cybersecurity, and data science, analytics. Citrus offers several of these majors, but one of the things I've noticed that colleges tend to do is they keep on doing what they've been doing. As a trustee, I can go ahead and point out that we're not the college we were 20 years ago. What are we going to do differently? What new things are we adding? And what things that have lost their popularity are perhaps worth phasing out? Establishing and maintaining pathways for students is important. Who talks to Claremont students about careers in dental assisting and water treatment, for example? How many high school seniors do you know want a career in water treatment? But it's a good career. We should be able to offer the introductory coursework via dual enrollment or at an evening class at Claremont High or San Antonio High. It should be clear which career paths lead through Citrus College and equally clear which ones don't. No college offers all majors, and if you want to learn how to fly a plane or speak Russian, Citrus is not a good choice. If I'm elected to the Board of Trustees, I will press for better establishment of these pathways. For students that don't think of themselves as, immediately rushing off to Stanford or the UCs, Citrus should be seen as an obvious choice, as the default. I will go here, I can accomplish this, and then with that skill set, I can move on to whatever it is I'm moving on to. I would also make certain we involve Claremont's high school teachers, because who understands high school students better than they? Citrus is also, as I mentioned, our community's college. Do we have course offerings accessible for students who have jobs and families? There's a lot of students in the community college world who are re-entering. They're in their late 20s or older, and we need to make certain that we have support systems in place, evening counselors, foster youth programs or former foster youth programs by the time they get to us, the Veterans Center, specialty counselors and facilities to address the needs of our minority student populations. Do our immigrant and senior populations receive educational opportunities? We can do that through non-credit and fee-based, and we need to ensure that they are, because the need for learning and job training never truly ends. The Chancellor's Office also has a diversity, equity, and inclusion work group that's currently working on 68 recommendations. I suspect at least half of those are going to show up on our plate in the next year. So with regards to diversity, we need to accept that people from different backgrounds approach issues from different viewpoints, and doing so benefits our society. So we need employees from many ethnic identities and employees that are male, female, and otherwise gendered. We need employees who are veterans, previous foster youth, previously homeless, as well as those from stable, solid homes. Rural and urban backgrounds, and from both conservative and liberal households. But more importantly, we need a campus culture that such differences, in background and often in opinion, are normal and expected. People come with different skill sets and with different backgrounds, and we go ahead and blend those experiences together to make a stronger whole. In the short term, we'll be focused on racial and gender identifications, but ultimately, we're looking for true diversity, and there's multiple ways we can work on that, such as targeted recruitment programs and also grow your own programs. With regards to equity, that requires funding internal research and then making adjustments based on the information that you receive. When a program or practice has a disproportionate impact on a group we've identified for monitoring, we need to stop and analyze why there is a difference in outcomes and what we can do to modify the institution and provide resources to mitigate it. There are many ways to close the gaps, but we have to be committed to looking for those gaps. Finally, there's inclusion. It's been mentioned that our students are now getting close to 70% Hispanic, but there's plenty of groups. We have white students, Asian students, Black students, students of multiple groups, and frankly, there are students that would prefer that they not get identified by their skin color. So while we serve students that are roughly 2/3 from Hispanic cultures, there's a good 1/3 that's not, and over a wide variety of backgrounds. We need to ensure that we serve our local majority population, certainly, but every student at Citrus needs to believe that they belong and that they see their culture reflected. Of course, reading selections, the food served at the cafeteria, the subject matter of our performing groups need to routinely include all the cultures that we know of are on our campus. Finally, is public safety, both physical and emotional. We didn't have time to talk about it, but Citrus College employees and students endured a 6-hour lockdown in January 2019. While no one was physically injured during that incident, think about being locked in a classroom with no food or water and just the garbage can for a bathroom. We need to address that preparation. This is an exciting time to be a board member. But with 3 new board members in 2021, I believe my experience makes me a strong candidate. I believe in community colleges. My day job is advocating for community colleges. I'm excited about this opportunity to guide Citrus College, and my daughter Amber is a current student at Citrus College. I ask for your vote in November. Eric, the digit 4, citrus.com.
Well, thank you very much, candidates, and thank you very much to our members out there, Active Claremont. Really appreciate you taking the time this evening to spend it with us. One of the things that we briefly talked about the beginning of this meeting, that came up was how little exposure, I guess, the election was getting. So I would like to ask all the members out in active Claremont to please share this video and also check out other videos that have already been produced and will be produced coming up here soon. Definitely do your part to really share information on this particular election, just because it does seem like there's less information available. And obviously here at Active Claremont, we're all about providing as much information to the community as possible, unbiased, not pointed in any particular way. So again, I just wanted to take a moment here to really express my wish for you out there in the audience to please share this video, and not just this video, but also check out other people who are covering this race, and go to the websites, inform yourself, inform your friends, encourage them to go to the websites. Candidates, I thank you very much, and we're going to go ahead and end our live stream tonight. Thank you, Active Claremont, and we will see you next time.